All right, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. This is a special presentation we're doing today. The first Saturday of each month for the rest of this year, we want to provide great information on either single ingredients or systems that can help people improve their health. And so today, as you can see by my opening screen, everyone should be able to see my screen. We're going to be talking about the importance of magnesium and all the health benefits that are derived from this mineral. And with that said, if you have questions as we go through the presentation, you can unmute yourself, or we'll have time at the end of today's presentation for you to be able to ask any questions that you might have. Now, magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in your body after calcium, potassium, and sodium. And here is a real quick list of all the essential ways that magnesium helps to benefit your system. I wanted to make sure there was something in the chat box. I just want to make sure it wasn't a question. So anyways, here's how magnesium helps you. Energy creation, regulation of your nervous system, protein formation, muscle movement, bone formation, preventing heart failure, reducing high blood pressure, correcting arrhythmia, fighting endothelial dysfunction, lowering the risk for strokes and heart attacks, preventing coronary artery disease, fights depression, helps prevent type 2 diabetes, anti-inflammatory benefits, prevent migraines, reduces insulin resistance, and improves PMS symptoms. Now, we're not going to look at all these different things today, but what we do want to look at is a couple of them. And as you can see, there's a lot of health benefits that come from magnesium. But first, I want to share some bad news. The bad news is that according to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, almost half of all Americans are magnesium deficient. Other studies estimate that here in the United States, approximately 64% of men and 67% of women have inadequate daily intake of magnesium. And when you get up to the age of 71, this inadequate intake of magnesium increases to 81% for men and 82% for women. So the question is, how much magnesium do you really need to take on a daily basis? And here are the recommendations. Somewhere between 400 to 420 milligrams, milligrams of per day for men, and 310 to 320 milligrams a day for women. So women don't need quite as much magnesium as what men do. And when I get to the end of today's presentation, I'm going to give you a list of some good food sources that you can use for magnesium. But before I do that, I want to, again, highlight some key health benefits from that list that I showed you above. The first one that we need to understand is that magnesium helps 300 different enzymes perform their vital metabolic functions throughout your body. Now, if you're not familiar with what an enzyme is, basically the easiest way to describe this is an enzyme is a working surface. So just like if you're at your desk, then you were going to put together some type of toy that you bought for your child, and there was instructions, and you put it on your desk. The desk provides a platform for you to assemble that toy, or maybe it's something else that you've got to assemble. It provides a working surface. And that working surface, if it's not there, then it becomes very hard for you to get done what you want to get done. Well, magnesium helps all 300 different platforms be able to provide that working surface so that something can happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you don't derive the health benefit from it. So the first thing we have to understand is that magnesium is critical for your enzymes to properly function inside your body. And those enzymes are critical to your overall health and vitality. Now, the next area that we want to look at from a health benefit is heart health. So the second benefit here is that magnesium helps to offset cardiovascular disease. And we've been now over a year in the COVID-19 pandemic. And certainly here in the United States, according to the statistics, there's been over 500,000 500,000 people have died from the COVID-19 virus. But even in the pandemic, cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer of men and women worldwide. And if a person has cardiovascular disease, from a core morbidity standpoint, they become more susceptible to a negative outcome from the COVID-19 virus. So when they did an analysis a couple years ago, and they looked at multiple human trials that totaled over 240,000 participants, what the researchers found is that for every 100 milligrams of magnesium that you consume in your daily diet, it was associated with an 8% lower risk of stroke. Now, going back to what we talked about, the bad news is that half of Americans are magnesium deficient. If you look at some other studies, 64% to 67% of Americans, men and women, are inadequate in their daily intake of magnesium. When you get up to age 71, that increases to 81 and 82%, 81% for men, 82% for women. So this inadequate intake of magnesium is critical, especially as it applies to stroke. So coming back down to this information, if men were taking the recommended 400 milligrams of magnesium per day, they could reduce their stroke risk by 32%. And if women were consuming 300 milligrams of magnesium per day, they could reduce their stroke risk by 24%. And part of the reason why is that proper levels of magnesium help to prevent what's called heart arrhythmia. The most common heart arrhythmia is atrial fibrillation, or AFib. So that's an irregular and rapid heartbeat in the upper atrial chamber of the heart. And when that occurs, you increase the potential for a blood clot to form in that chamber of the heart. And that chamber of the heart then sends blood up through the carotid artery. Well, if you create a blood clot in that chamber, then you send that blood clot up through the carotid artery, which then can block flow to the brain. And when that happens, it's what we call an ischemic stroke. So one large research study found that people with the lowest magnesium levels had a 50% greater risk in developing atrial fibrillation when compared to those with the highest consumption of magnesium. So it doesn't mean that you'll never potentially have a stroke, but it definitely means that if your magnesium intake is at the recommended levels, you can significantly reduce your risk for stroke. In addition to that, magnesium plays a critical role in your brain function and mood. So I was really interested in this because one of the issues that has been talked about with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic is the effect that it has on depression. So I was able to find a 2020 published study in JAMA Networks. It's a very respected medical publications, and I took a quote from them. The researchers found the following, quote, "Depression symptom prevalence was more than threefold higher during the COVID-19 pandemic than before." So that kind of caught my attention, and it created a question in my mind. Could the recommended intake of magnesium help to offset this? Well, I found a randomized control study, a trial that was done in depressed older adults. And what the researchers found is that a daily intake of 450 milligrams of magnesium improved mood as effectively as an antidepressant drug. Now, I'm not here to tell you that if you take magnesium, that's going to take care of depression. But what I am saying is that magnesium is critically important for brain function and mood. And again, according to research that's out there, it definitely helps a person with regards to depression. The fourth area that I want to focus on is this whole aspect of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is increasing at such large rates in the United States. And so sometimes it's looked at as something that's basically out of control. Well, there's a large body of work that suggests that 48% of type 2 diabetes or diabetics have low magnesium levels in their blood. Yet when high doses of magnesium are consumed each day, there is a significant improvement in blood sugar and hemoglobin A1C levels. For those that may not understand what an A1C level is, it's basically a measurement of blood sugar over a period of time, typically a 3-month period of time. So when a doctor does a blood test and looks at A1C, they're looking at what the blood sugar levels have been over a 3-month period of time, and then they make recommendations in terms of what that person is doing to control their blood sugar. Well, in a long-term study that followed over 4,000 people for 20 years, those that had the highest magnesium intake were 47% less likely to develop diabetes. So just think about that. That's a pretty large number of people looked at over a fairly long period of time. And people who had the highest magnesium intake were 47% less likely to develop diabetes. Now, the final area that I want to look at before we begin to look at maybe what some food sources might be that you could use to bring magnesium into your system is that I want you to understand that magnesium plays a big role in your vitamin D levels. I pulled this, this is a screenshot of an article, March of 2018, from the Journal of American Osteopathic Association, pretty respected journal. And as you can see by the title of it, Role of Magnesium in Vitamin D Activation and Function. And I just want to read a small quote from this article. Quote, magnesium assists in the activation of vitamin D, which helps regulate calcium and phosphate homeostasis to influence the growth and maintenance of bones. All of the enzymes that metabolize vitamin D seem to require magnesium, which acts as a cofactor in the enzymatic reactions in the liver and kidney. Now, I'm just going to give you just a brief synopsis of this, what that means. I've used this picture in other presentations with regards to vitamin D. So whether you get your vitamin D through sunlight activating in the skin, or whether you take a supplement that has vitamin D3 in it where it gets into your bloodstream, that vitamin D3, whether it comes through the skin, through the activation of sunlight, or whether it comes through your diet, supplement, or diet, the foods that you're eating, that vitamin D3, it's got to go to the liver to be converted to another form of vitamin D3, and then it goes to the kidney to go through the final conversion to the form of vitamin D3 in your body that your body can actually use. And so what they're saying here in this quote is that the enzymes that are in both the liver and the kidneys to be able to convert this vitamin D3 into the first necessary form and then the final active form of vitamin D, magnesium is necessary for those enzymes to work properly, which means that if you don't have proper levels of magnesium in your system, it's very difficult for your body to take vitamin D3 and convert it to its final form, which is the form that your body needs to be able to enjoy all the benefits of vitamin D. And it also means that if you're taking the proper amounts of magnesium, you most likely don't need to take as much vitamin D3 to be able to get the same conversion level to the active form. We'll look at this a little bit more because as I shared at the beginning of today's presentation, on the first Saturday of every month, we want to do a presentation on either a single ingredient or a system that can help you improve your health. And so the first Saturday of April, which is April the 3rd at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, just like we're here right now, the same link that you joined us today. If you find the information I'm sharing with you of value today, I can guarantee you that the information I'm going to share with you on vitamin D on the first Saturday of next month is absolutely critical, that you should be here and you should have every person that you know on to this presentation. Just a brief summary of some of the things that I'm going to share in that presentation. There is plenty of peer-reviewed research that's out there now that shows how critically important vitamin D levels are in helping you to address the COVID-19 virus. That vitamin D levels that are normal compared to those that are deficient in vitamin D levels, there's a night and day difference in mortality rates, and research just recently that came out shows that for people who had normal vitamin D levels compared to those that had deficient vitamin D levels, the ones that were deficient in their vitamin D levels were 76% more likely to get the COVID-19 virus compared to people who had normal vitamin D levels. So this whole issue of vitamin D, not just for all the other areas of health that it provides, this whole aspect of how vitamin D helps in your body's ability to mobilize its immune system to be able to resist the COVID-19 virus is extremely important to understand. And we'll delve into this topic in much more detail on the first Saturday of April. Now, as we go through this, you can get your magnesium in a bunch of different ways. And so for some people, they're going to want to use food as a source, and they want to understand what food sources will give them the greatest ability to bring magnesium into their system. So here's a couple ways that you could do that. A quarter cup of pumpkin seeds provides 46% of the RDA, recommended daily intake. A cup of boiled spinach provides 39% of the RDA. A cup of boiled Swiss chard provides 38% of the RDA. 3.5 ounces of dark chocolate, and that dark chocolate means that it's somewhere between 70 to 85% cocoa, provides 33% of RDA. A cup of black beans provides 30% of RDA. A 3.5 ounce piece of halibut provides 27% of RDA. And if you ate a quarter cup of either almonds or cashews, that would provide you with 25% of the RDA for magnesium. Now, I don't know about you, but of those food choices that I have that give me the highest percentage of getting my magnesium through food, I don't eat. I eat spinach every day, but I certainly don't boil it. So I have spinach in my morning shake. I have about a half a cup that I put in my morning shake. So I get some magnesium from that spinach, but there's no way I'm going to eat Swiss chard. I like chocolate, but I don't like dark chocolate. It's too bitter for me, so I don't eat chocolate. I don't like black beans. Very seldom do I have halibut. And I am not going to consume almonds and cashews. I mean, they taste okay, but that's not something that I'm going to do on a daily basis. So if I want to be able to get proper levels of magnesium, to be able to run those 300 different enzymatic processes in my body, to be able to enjoy the heart health benefits, to be able to balance my blood sugar levels, to help prevent diabetes, to improve cognitive function, to do all that list of benefits that I showed you at the beginning of today's presentation, I've decided to use a daily nutritional supplement. That's how I get my magnesium into my system. It's quick, it's inexpensive, and it's a quick and inexpensive way to enjoy all the health benefits that I've shared with you with regards to magnesium. Now, like all recommendations, if you're on some type of medication, then you always need to check with your physician before taking a magnesium supplement or changing your diet. That's always the best thing to do. Or if you're on medications, go to your pharmacy, talk to the pharmacist. The pharmacist sometimes better understands medications and things that you might decide that you want to add to your system in terms of, in this case, magnesium, and whether that magnesium, that ingredient, those vitamins, whatever you might be adding to your diet, how that would affect the medications that you're on. The pharmacist would have an even better understanding of that whole aspect. So that would be my recommendation, that if you're not using magnesium now and you decide that you're going to, and you're on some type of medication, then just from a safety standpoint, check with your physician or with your pharmacist to make sure that it doesn't cause any issues with your medication. For me, I use a supplement. I'm going to show you the supplement that I use. There's plenty of supplements. You can go to your health food store. You can look at the different supplements that are at your health food store, but I'm going to share with you what I do and why I do it, because it's not just picking a product, it's why I picked the product. So there's a product called Body Prime that comes from a company called Synergy Worldwide. You can see the bottle, and to the right of that bottle, I have the actual supplemental facts. So a serving size is 3 capsules. There's 30 servings per container, which means that there's 90 capsules in that bottle. As you can see, 3 capsules provide 600 milligrams of magnesium and just slightly over a gram, or 1,050 milligrams, that's slightly over a gram of apple fruit pectin, and prune fruit powder. Now, because 3 capsules give me 600 milligrams of magnesium, what is the daily recommendation for adult men? It's 400. So what do? I don't take all 3. I just take 2 capsules per day. So if I take that 90 capsules and divide it by 2, that really gives me 45 days. So that bottle isn't a 1-month supply. That bottle for me is actually a month and a half supply. Now, it costs $39 for that bottle. It's a little bit more expensive than what you would most likely see in a health food store for just a magnesium product. But when I divide that by 45 days, I'm basically just paying 87 cents. Now, because I'm spreading this out over a month and a half, the cost is very comparable to what I find in my health food stores. So why have I chosen Body Prime as opposed to something that I could find in my health food store that would be comparable in cost, or maybe slightly lower in cost? And the reason is, in addition to the magnesium, I'm getting 2 other ingredients: apple fruit pectin and prune fruit powder. Now, most people are familiar with prune fruit, prune juice, all the benefits that come from prune juice in terms of digestive health and helping your bowels move properly. Most people are not familiar with apple fruit pectin. So from an apple fruit pectin standpoint, I pulled up an article from Healthline. They do a great job researching and looking at ingredients and then posting those benefits and providing documentation in terms of how they came to those benefits, giving you links to the research that they've come to making their recommendations. So as you can see, this is the title of the article: 10 promising benefits and uses of apple pectin. Now, all I've done here is I've summarized, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the benefits. So it may promote gut health, may aid in weight loss, may control blood sugar, may aid heart health, may relieve diarrhea and constipation, may enhance iron absorption, may improve acid reflux, may strengthen hair and skin. So in addition to the benefits that I get from magnesium, and in addition to the benefits that I get from the prune fruit powder, I also get all these other benefits from the apple fruit pectin. So it's a much more synergistic, or much more comprehensive supplement than just taking magnesium by itself. So because of that, this is my choice for my magnesium intake, so that I can get both my magnesium and get some additional benefits from this product. Now, with regards to the listed benefits from Synergy Worldwide, it supports cleansing and bowel motility. You know, that's a big issue for people, to make sure that they get proper movement of food through their system. Magnesium helps maintain healthy electrolyte balance and reduce fatigue. We all, especially in the world that we live in today, reducing fatigue is especially important. Contributes to muscle function, including heart muscle. Contributes to normal muscle contraction, including normal heartbeat. So again, it has a huge component with regards to proper cardiovascular health. And with that said, that I would like to take any questions that people would have. One of the things that we don't do when we take the questions is we've got a fairly large group of people on today. I'm not going to unmute everyone because we would have way too much background noise, but everyone has the ability to do one of two things. Well, one of three things. You can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you could put it into the chat box, or you can raise your hand and then I can unmute you and then you can ask your question. So I think, Timothy, you have a question?
A comment, Dan. You may not be a chocolate person, but I am.
Good.
I use the cacao, which is the chocolate before you get to the processing.
Sure.
Either the nibs or the powder. I put that in the shake, and that gives me my chocolate value. So those who want to use dark chocolate, this could be an alternative.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion, Timothy. Plus, not only are you getting the magnesium from that form of chocolate, but you're also getting all the antioxidants that are part of that, which again is a whole nother Saturday presentation we could do with regards to the importance of antioxidants in protecting us from free radical damage. So great suggestion. I'm glad that you let us know what you do.
You're welcome.
Anyone else with any comments, suggestions before we say goodbye for today's presentation?
Dan, there is a question in the chat box from Guinea.
So is there a harm by taking extra magnesium via supplements? So I guess, Ginny, the question is, when you say extra magnesium, what do you mean? My suggestion is that you really don't go that much beyond what the recommended daily allowance is. So like for men, it's 400 milligrams. For women, it's 300 milligrams on a daily basis. You could maybe up that to 400 or 500 milligrams for women. What'll happen if you take too much magnesium, you'll most likely see it with regards to your bowels. So your bowels will become softer as you take more magnesium, to the point where if you're getting diarrhea and you're most likely, and the only thing that you've added to your system is magnesium, then most likely you're taking more magnesium than what your system can truly handle. And so that would cause you to have some diarrhea and you would want to back down. So when I recommend ingredients to people, I always approach it from the conservative side, that you start on the lower end and then you stay on that lower end for at least a week to see how your body responds. And then if you feel that you want to push the envelope, so to speak, to a higher level, then gradually increase the amount and then stay on that for at least another week to see how your body responds. And then if you're going to make another change, again, make that change after a week, and again, see how your body responds to it. So for example, as a male, I would certainly recommend starting at 400 milligrams of magnesium. Now, if I felt that I wanted to take more magnesium than 400, I would just start at 400 milligrams. I would do that for at least a week. And then if I was using something like the product down here from Synergy, let's go down here and look at this. If I was using this product from Synergy, I might take 3 capsules. But if I was going to take 3 capsules, I most likely wouldn't want to take all 3 at the same time. I would take my 2 capsules to get my 400 in. I would most likely do that during the morning hours. That's typically what I do. I usually do this around 9 or 10 in the morning after I've had I usually have my breakfast around 7:30, and then around 9, I take my magnesium. And then if I was wanting to push this higher, I would take my 2 capsules to get 400 milligrams of magnesium around 9. And then with my dinner meal, I'd take my other capsule with my dinner meal. And then I would just see how my body reacts to it. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yes, and Guinea also said that she takes a multiple vitamin that has some magnesium in it, and then also some additional supplements. And thanks for the great suggestion. And there's another question, Dan, also here. Is there a better form of magnesium?
Again, what's out there, most likely any of the ones that are out there are going to be fine. I would suggest that if you're going to take your magnesium as a supplement, don't take it in what I call a hard tablet. Take it in a capsule, because in a capsule, then it's in a powder form. If it's in a hard tablet, then there's binders that are keeping that tablet together. And for some people, those binders don't break down in your system. So you take a hard tablet and your body can't digest it. So you really don't get the benefit of the actual product. So if you're going to take your magnesium, it's not so much the form that it comes in, it's the delivery system that's more important. And so make sure that it's some type of a capsule. And there's types of capsules that are out there that break down better than other ones, but that would be the key to me, is having your magnesium in capsule form as opposed to tablet form. And then one last thing to talk about, if you're taking, sometimes you're taking like a multivitamin, and that multivitamin might have magnesium in it. But let's say that multiple vitamin only has 550 milligrams of magnesium in that multivitamin. Well, then you might want to supplement. So, you might, for a woman, you might say, okay, I'm going to add 1 body prime to it. So now that gives me 250 milligrams. Let me see how I feel for a week on 250 milligrams, see if it makes a difference in my health. Then after a week on it, maybe I'm going to push this from 250 to 450 milligrams of magnesium by taking 2 of the body prime. And then you just have to see if that's a benefit. For men, if you're taking a multivitamin and it's 50 milligrams, then I would suggest that you just take your 2 capsules of body prime. Or if you're using a supplement for your health food story, again, you have to see what that supplement is. What is the amount that you're getting per serving off of the supplement that you're taking, and then just make your adjustments that way. Anyone else with any questions or comments? We've had some great questions and excellent suggestions.
Dan, it's Judy.
Yes, Judy.
Great presentation. Actually, you have my curiosity up so high with the boiled spinach and Swiss chard. I'm just like, now I have to do research. So why does it have to be boiled? Does it change the chemical makeup of those 2 greens that make it, releases the magnesium somehow? I have to do research, because I eat both. I eat a lot of spinach and I like Swiss chard, but I don't boil either one.
So Judy, my gut feeling would be that you are reducing the amount. So for example, if I take a cup of spinach and I boil it, what does it do? It contracts down to maybe a quarter of a cup.
Mm-hmm.
So the boiling process is just taking and reducing the volume down to a smaller amount. And so again, because I don't boil spinach, very seldom do I ever have boiled. Occasionally, I think when Patrick makes one of his sauces, he'll put spinach into it, and I eat it that way. But it's like, okay, what was a nice big leaf is now this really small, very floppy piece of green that's in his sauce, and so you eat it because it's in there. And that would be my thought process would be, all you're doing is you're taking 4 cups of spinach and boiling it down to 1 cup. And again, eating 1 cup of boiled spinach is an awful lot. That's like Popeye popping a can of spinach, right?
Right. Well, and Synergy's food plan, they actually have a suggestion of 5 cups of greens per day. So
sure,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, this is Bob.
Yes, Bob.
When Dan Austin and Dr. Siva, when they were doing the High Desert Heart Institute clinical study on Pro-arginine Plus, they'd added 4 scoops of Pro-arginine to all of those patients' daily protocol. And at the conclusion of that research, one of the side effects was that there was an increase of magnesium in people's blood, or in their blood workup, but there is no magnesium in Pro-arginine Plus. And I've always wondered, where does that come from? Why would there be an increase of magnesium if there's no magnesium in the product? Do you have any idea about that?
The only thing that would come to my mind, Bob, would be that one of the things that we know that nitric oxide does is it improves the digestive process. So if I improve the digestive process, then I'm able to do a better job absorbing the nutrients that are in the food that I'm eating. And to me, that would most likely be the reason why the magnesium levels increase, is because their small intestine was operating at a better efficiency. And because of that, it was able to better break down food and absorb the nutrients into the bloodstream. And that's why they saw the increase.
Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because you can't create it out of nowhere. So go ahead, Judy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is also a comment from Douglas, and what he says is, when I am talking about milligrams or magnesium to other people, I emphasize the importance to the heart and cardiovascular system. Circulation is everything, helped by Pro-arginine Plus.
Good. Thank you for the comment.
Dan, can I go back to spinach for a minute?
You can. You're friends with Popeye, so you can certainly talk about
No, I grow my own spinach, and I pick a handful every evening for tomorrow morning shake.
Okay.
So I believe in whole food. If you boil it, all the goodness can go into the steam and into the water, etc., etc. I don't know how well the water would taste when you drink it.
Sure.
But I believe that if I put the spinach in the shake, I will get everything.
Yeah. And I go to Costco to get my homegrown spinach. So I open up my little plastic container and pull out my handful of spinach every morning, and I thank Costco that it's organic.
That's good for you. I just got spinach going everywhere around here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to grow spinach when you got 12 to 18 inches of snow on the ground, but
Agreed with that. Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't spoil. That's for sure. It's frozen.
No, but if I got too much, I chop it up and freeze it. So
That's good.
I got spinach on the vine, spinach in the fridge, and spinach in the freezer.
Good for you. And it's good that you take those kinds of steps to maintain your health.
Yes, whole food, carrots in the juice, ginger, bananas, everything goes into the shake first thing in the morning, and one for breakfast and one for lunch.
Cool. Anyone else with any questions or comments before we say goodbye?
And Edward says, thank you, Dan. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Edward. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for joining us. Again, every Saturday we do a live presentation for the distributors that we have in Synergy Worldwide. but we're making it on the first Saturday of every month. We're going to be talking about either a single ingredient or a delivery system for ways that people can improve their health, that you can invite family and friends to help educate them on how they can take steps to improve their health. So as I've shared with you, we're going to be doing vitamin D next, or the first Saturday of April. It's hugely important that people understand how vitamin D levels are absolutely critical to their immune system and critical to helping them deal with viruses. So we'll spend more time on this next on the first Saturday of April. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. Oh, one last thing for the people who invited you to this presentation today, those individuals will get a copy. This has been recorded today, so they'll get a YouTube video of this presentation today, plus they will get a link to the PDF that I used in today's presentation. So if you just get a hold of them, they can then provide you with the link to both the recorded presentation, the YouTube video, as well as a link to this PDF that I used in today's presentation. And like I said, you can get it through the person who invited you to today's Saturday live presentation. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye now.